Hi, welcome to Bandon.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome to our home. This is our 17-and-a-half-year-old wiener dog Mike. His brother Cooper is around here somewhere. If you'll come on in, you can see that we are Star Wars fans, from our Star Wars carpet, our droid on the floor, and our son, who's not accidentally named Luke.
Hello.
Now we have our system out here in the living room as opposed to a special listening room. It's not acoustically perfect, but we like everybody in the family to be able to enjoy it. Unlike how we grew up, we weren't allowed to touch the stereo. Our son Luke can listen anytime he wants, even when we're not here.
Like that one time you guys were gone and the neighbors asked me to turn it down?
Yeah, which frankly I thought was kind of cool.
Welcome to the beautiful Pacific Northwest. I'm here to see how cables are made by Cardas.Audio.
We are here in our main manufacturing facility in Bandon, Oregon. We are going to walk you through the process of the production of a Clear Beyond cable from start to finish. Starting with Kimmy. She is in charge of everything from getting the email, taking the phone calls, and making sure that the order is written down in a way that they can produce it correctly. Kimmy's nickname around here is Ray of Sunshine. She is the friendliest, sweetest person you will ever meet. Kimmy answers every call. And that was one of the reasons we hired her. I wanted a really friendly, really sweet voice when people would call us. So the next step in the orders process is Kimmy gets the order to her mother, Wendy. We have a lot of those kind of connections here at Cardas.Audio. We have father-sons, we have mother-daughters, we have husband-wives. We've put a couple couples together over the course of time. Wendy's the next step in the process. She goes over what parts are needed.
Okay, so what I've done here is I've taken a soldering iron, very similar to the ones that the guys use out there on the production line, but this one may not even work, and it's certainly not hot. It hasn't been on in years. And I've taken a little camera mount and I've put my phone on it. As you can see, the soldering iron is visible on the camera, and I'll come up behind somebody while they're working and we'll see if we get a reaction out of them.
Joshua,
What?
don't even think about it.
Think about what?
Whatever you're thinking about, do it.
The next step in the order from Wendy is giving it to Daniel. In the cutting of the cable, of this Clear Beyond cable, it's another step in the quality control. So it will be checked for bumps, blemishes, problems with printing, anything like that. So he's once again checking every inch of that Clear Beyond to make sure that it's as absolutely perfect as it can be. He cuts it to the length a little bit longer than it needs to be to account for production. And then he gets it to the next step in the process, which is Shayla. Shayla is the only female member of our silent Terminators, and she was also our favorite bartender at the arcade, and we actually stole her from there to come work for us. She takes the cut cable and removes the blue outer jacket and the air tubes surrounding the conductors.
Put
a score on each one, just enough to open it up. You gotta be really gentle with your razor because you do not want to cut the copper at all. So these are gonna be my highs. I'm doing those first, and these are gonna stay long. There's a lot of little mistakes you can make. Cutting into the wire is a really big one. I use an extremely dull razor now. I've been using that razor for over 6 months because I don't want to cut into it. Losing track of any of these wires, not keeping them tight. You can cross your leads. That would be very bad. These are going to be my lows, so I'm going to cut them shorter. Nice and smooth.
With the Sky, Cygnus, Clear, and Clear Beyond cables, we have concentric multi-stranded LITS conductors in which one conductor runs up the center of the outer conductor. The way we terminate these cables, the inside of the one conductor is tied to the outside of the other and vice versa. This is really complicated and time-consuming procedure, and combining the conductors properly takes Shayla over an hour per cable.
And that's that side stripped and finished for now.
Whoa, mofo!
God, you got me, man. I'm like, because I know what that is. It's like, dude, that's funny.
When I was in high school and college, I worked at a stereo repair shop in Portland. One of my coworkers was a little older than me, and he's the guy who told me that high-end audio even existed. I had no idea. I knew about nice stereos like Sony. And he told me, dude, there's a whole line of products out there. You've never heard of them. There's even expensive cables. Just that information blew my mind. And I don't think I was necessarily skeptical. I think I figured that this would be like expensive tires for a car I couldn't afford. You know, somebody's buying expensive cables and perhaps benefiting from them somehow. But it is one of those things where until you have the equipment that can resolve the differences between cables, I could sell a cable to somebody with a $100 stereo and they're going to say, didn't do anything. That's not our customer. And I think that sometimes the skepticism is from people who aren't really in our industry, whether they're working in it or consumers of our industry. It's people who are aware of it and think it's all frivolous and silly. So I do remember when I started dating Angela and somehow became aware of what the family business was, and it was intriguing. And then we came down to visit her parents here in Bandon long before Angela and I lived here, and hearing George's stereo, and I had never heard anything like it. And it's a combination of many things, an amazing turntable, amazing amplifiers, and of course, Cardas cables. And it was kind of a life-changing experience to hear music in a home that sounded just like that. That was long before I had a stereo that would have made any sense to put a Cardas cable on. And I had a stereo in the house that now I look back on and think kind of a pile of junk, but it's not like I had it wired up with Cardas cables, nor did I think I needed to. And it wasn't until we moved to Bandon and started working for the company and started putting together our own system where I really got to evaluate the differences between Cardas cables and other brands of cables and the entire product line of Cardas.
We're here at the Arcade Tavern. This is where Josh and I like to hang out. We come here with our friends, and they have the best Bloody Mary on the Oregon coast. Our copper is mined in the American Southwest in the New Mexico area. It's the only mine in the world that is producing ultra pure virgin copper. Our copper does not include any recycled materials whatsoever because we believe in the most pure materials going into our products. We believe in recycling. We recycle everything we can, aluminum cans, cardboard, but not copper. We want it to be as pure as possible from the source. After that, it's sent to a plant in Connecticut where it is drawn and annealed in a proprietary process that George came up with at the very beginning. This plant was about to go under many, many years ago, and my dad and the owner came up with an agreement that if we continued to send them invoices on a regular basis, that he would continue to produce our copper, and now that's been happening for over 35 years now. The process is slow and meticulous and expensive, but it does result in the purest copper on Earth. It is so pure that many other manufacturers, a lot larger than us, and I'm sure you've heard of them, use our copper in their products as well. And it has such amazing conductivity that's actually used in labs around the world, from Texas to Paris. After Connecticut, our wire goes on spools to California. 90% goes to California. Some of it goes to us for other products and other uses. In California, we have 2 manufacturing facilities that make our cables to our specifications using our wire on the inside.
California Insulated Wire has been in business some 43 years, and out of those 43 years, 38 years have been with Cardas.Audio, developing a great relationship. California Insulated Wire has over 1,100 customers, in which we ship to 300 different customers per month, ranging from the aerospace industry, military, geophysical markets, downhole cable, or just simply audio cable, which is one of the most pickiest industries around. Out of all those different industries and all those different customers and products that we make, by far the level of care that's put into a Cardas.Audio and the demand out of it is at the top of the industry. We receive copper in from their Connecticut supplier from 30 to 90 pound boxes. We respool all wire to make sure there's no imperfections in the surface. We then actually engage the process and start with manufacturing of the individual Cardas.Audio strands. We take the Cardas.Audio strand that is shipped into us and start assembling the strand into Conductor by using George Cardas' patented theory. In the process of making the Clear Beyond speaker chassis wire, it is a 10-step process. Multiple layers of single conductors are put on and built up to achieve the final conductor. This takes anywhere from about 10 to 12 weeks to make just a simple 1,000 feet of conductor, whereas a normal cable would take anywhere from about 2 to 3 days. This is the detail that's paid to this type of a wire. We then move the cable or the individual wire into spark testing, where we check for individual flaws such as pinholes, voids, irregularities, or anything that might cause a void or a short in the cable. This is an added process we put in there to make sure that the continuity is 100% and there is no spark outs or failures in the cable. After that point, we then take the individual conductors and then set them up in the respool area so that we can place each color of the Clear Beyond speaker on a spool of its own so that it could process forward to the cabling department. From the cabling department, we would then respool the cable to make sure directionally the cable was pointed in the right direction, as George is very particular about the cable direction as we cable it. We would do this so that we ensure all the wires are uniformly laid up in the sequence of connection, meaning 12, 3, 6, and 9 for the individual colors, so when they terminate them, they can terminate them with ease and no crossovers or happening. We run the cable through what they call a spreader plate and a die to ensure that we compact the cable, take out all air spaces, adding filler where needed to make cable round. This process can take, for 1,000 feet of cable, anywhere from 2 to 3 hours to do this process. Okay, after the cabling process is done and respooled, we then would move the clear beyond speaker cable through its final process. Final process would be the jacketing of the cable. This is applied by another extrusion line that extrudes a melt processable rubber on top of the cable to make sure that the cable maintains flexibility and does not build in memory. This process is specially designed material for the Cardas.Audio cables, which is not normally used on most cables. The process can take anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour to jacket 1,000 feet of cable. After jacketing the clear beyond speaker cable, we then take it to printing. Normally printing is done in line with final jacket. Because of the detail to printing, Cardas.Audio has us print the cable by itself on a separate line altogether so that we can assure 100% quality and the print legend that is transferred onto the cable. Once that process is continued, the cable will then move into shipping or final destination, where we will prep the cable on reels, wrap, and seal all of it, and check it one more time for final imperfections in cable jacket, printing issues, or any other issues that might pop up that would make the cable less than perfect. We then package it for shipping on reels and label it, palletize it, and ship off to Cardas.Audio.
Wow, is this your whole heel collection?
Oh no, there's a lot more than this. These are just some of my favorites. I am kind of known for my shoes. I do love them. It started as a way for me to reward myself for flying. I was deathly afraid of flying. I would literally pass out on planes. But I knew for the good of the company I needed to do it. So after the first Munich show, we went down to Switzerland and I bought my first pair with our Swiss distributor, Enzo. He apparently, we found out he likes going shoe shopping, so that was fun. And these are just some of my favorites. So these are the most painful, and it's not just because they're pokey on the outside. They're so flat on the bottom. There's no give to them, and it's a really sharp angle, so I can't wear these very long. And these ones, you would actually think they were worse, but they're actually some of the most comfortable ones I own. So I love these too. I call these my Minnie Mouse shoes. They kind of remind me of Minnie Mouse. These are probably the most stiletto-y ones I have. And it's funny because guys in the industry think I'm a lot taller than I am, and sometimes I'll take off my shoes and they'll say, "Oh, you're short."
It wasn't too long after I started working at Cardas that we were releasing a new cable. And looking back now, I don't even remember what it was. It was something in the Clear product line. And it had just showed up on the spool. And George said, "Why don't you come down, we'll have dinner tonight and we'll listen to this cable versus a different one." And that was, I felt like this is high pressure. I gotta go to George's house, have dinner with George, he's an intimidating guy. And then we're gonna listen to a cable he designed, and what if I can't hear the difference? What am I supposed to say? He put me at ease when he said, "Let me tell you something. If you don't hear a difference, you tell me that. If you think it's worse, tell me that. I don't care." Basically, he told me there's no wrong answers here. So he sat me down in his special listening chair and he played something off a Willie Nelson record. Then he stopped it, switched out the cables, he played it again, and it was like the biggest relief I've ever had, because the difference was obvious. Like nobody in the world would deny what had happened. Everything changed, everything got better. And not only was I happy that we had a good product that we were about to release, but that I heard it and I could stop worrying about, are we really doing anything real or are we just selling expensive wire? Like that all went out the door. Admittedly, I wasn't 100% sure before that. Before that, I thought, hey, this is a great company. We're having a lot of fun. Everybody seems to get along. I really like the job. But until I actually heard the difference between one Cardas cable and what was supposed to be and turned out to be a better Cardas cable, that changed everything for me. Any doubt I had just went out the window.
Every copper strand has an enamel coating. That prevents the copper from oxidizing, and it also prevents crosstalk between the strands in the conductor. With most of our cables, which have soldered connections, the enamel is burned off in the solder pot. But the Cygnus, Reflection, Clear, and Clear Beyond are terminated with a solderless method. So Ray uses a grinding machine with a brass brush to carefully remove the enamel without damaging the copper wire.
I put some glue right here, push it over the cable. There you go.
Hey, Ray.
You almost did it. I was like,
You have no sense of self-preservation.
shit. I can't believe you got me right after you seen him get me. I didn't see that.
The termination of Clear Beyond is done using a two-stage compression die forging process, which my dad developed with our longtime machinist Mike Culver many years ago. We had to design specific dies for our 10,000 PSI compressors and then design specifically sized spades and bananas, machined from copper billet and plated with silver and rhodium, which fit perfectly within the dies. Ray places the specified connector on the conductor and then uses the hydraulic compressor to cold forge it onto the cable. The process results in some of the metal from the conductor squishing out the sides, and then that has to be ground off with a Dremel tool. The result is a perfect melding of the copper in the conductor to the copper of the connector. You can take a hacksaw and cut the connector in half and you wouldn't be able to tell where the wire ended and the connector started. It's like they've become one. When Ray's done with that process, he adds the shrink tubing and a little bit of glue for appearances and for strength as well. And after Ray's done with all of that, he hands it off to Jesus, who is our shop manager, for final testing and quality control. Jesus Ornelas is currently our second longest employee here at Cardas.Audio. He's working on 28 years. And he was one of the original employees that came on board when we moved from Southern California up to Bandon. Our packaging looks a lot different than it used to. We still don't go over the top with packaging, but we do have a box with all the internal documents that tell you about the cable, where it came from, our roots, all of that stuff, and marketing director Josh Meredith designs all of that. Daniel takes the cable and he cleans it off, takes little pieces of tape off of it for our own internal communications. He cleans the cables, coils them up, and puts them in the packaging in the box. Clear Beyond is a really large cable, so sometimes it goes in 2 boxes as well. After Daniel has packaged all the cables for the order and made sure that they're all ready to go, he rolls them into Blythe's area for shipping. Blythe is another bartender that we stole from a local bar, Bandon Brewing Company, and she really keeps Josh on his toes because she demands that we have a certain level of packaging for our products. You notice we have different packaging tape and internal decorations for every season, and she really is the forefront of making sure that everything looks beautiful going out the door.
Jeff has been on vacation and somebody has had a craving for popcorn and made it. It's just not quite as good.
I love making the popcorn around here.
Yes, please.
I always take one to memo. Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
It's the best popcorn made.
A few of us here at Cardas.Audio are kind of like car people. My wife Angela is, Brian Von Bork, our tech guy. So a lot of our analogies are related to cars, but there's a lot of analogies whether you're talking about clothing or food or watches, where you have entry-level stuff and esoterically expensive and high-performance stuff. And in every case, you're paying for the engineering, you are paying for the materials, and you're paying for the cost of production. I think cables are, as an analogy to the car thing, the tires. We're excited about cables, and I expect the people that work at Michelin are excited about tires. I don't get excited about tires, but I recognize that a good tire is going to change your driving experience. Luckily, cables last forever, but you are going to spend money for a cable that's going to change your listening experience because of everything that goes into it, everything from the copper wire we use to the zero compromises we make on the materials that surround that wire, and everything makes a difference when you're putting together a good cable, a good speaker, or a good amplifier. It is fun to go to the store and buy a new amplifier. It's fun to buy a new pair of speakers, and you can see it sitting there. You spend a lot of money on a cable, and you're going to plug it into the back of your stereo, and you can't even see it. So there's something about it that we admit it's not quite as fun, although there are some people in the industry who are gaga about cables. But I think there's some controversy just because people don't want that to be the thing. They want the speakers to be the thing. They want the amplifier or the turntable to be the thing. And they want the cable to just exist. And they want to get a free pair of cables out of the box when they buy a piece of electronics, or they want to go to Best Buy and buy a $30 pair of cables and think, oh, that's better than the $10 pair of cables. And the $30 pair is probably better than the $10 pair, and it only gets steeper from there. It does become an exponential increase in retail price. There's no denying that.
Josh thinks it's wrong to put ketchup on a hot dog.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he hates it so much that he takes the ketchup out of the refrigerator and will hide it upstairs where nobody can find it. It's crazy. Let's roll that bad boy around. We're gonna drown this baby in ketchup for him.
Back around the time that my dad was really getting started with this, with the experimenting with different wires, with different designs, I was the only kid at home anymore. My sisters are 11 and 13 years older than me. So around that time, they were starting their own lives. They were in college, they were working and not living with us at the time. So I was the sole experimenter. So all the A/B comparisons, all of the, okay, listen to this, and then wait a little bit, okay, listen to that, and tell me what changed. That was all me, starting from about 9 years old. I remember the Judds were the reference track. So Mama, He's Crazy, I've probably heard about 3,000 times. And it was always, I could hear it. It was, I hear the difference. I hear what changed. And he was so in his own crazy scientist mentality that I never knew why. I never knew what changed. He didn't say, oh yeah, the second one had an extra dielectric in it and that makes it sound like this. It was never that. It was just, tell me what changed, tell me what you liked about it, tell me what you didn't like about it. And that's how we spent our evenings for months and months and months of my childhood. Something that I take really seriously is my life's purpose, I feel like, is to keep this business going. And not to sound over dramatic about it, but you know, it is a cable company, it is high-end audio. We're not curing cancer here, but you know, these families, these 15 people and their extended family, I take very seriously. I take it very personally that they're successful, that they can pay their bills, that they can come to work and have a good environment in a non-stressful way. And I want to keep it going. We're at 35 years now, and I would love to make it another 35 years and have my son take over and have him have the same passion for people, not for cables. I mean, I obviously have a passion for cables too, but the people are really what's most important in this industry, in life. And so that's really my life's goal, is to keep that going.
handmade Ray his favorite strawberry cheesecake. It's my specialty. I cut every single strawberry into hearts, and everything's made from scratch and with love. That's the secret ingredient.
What do you do with the part of the strawberry you waste by cutting it into a heart?
Don't talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you and many more.
Yay!
Good job.
Come on. Grow up, Daniel. Come on.
You know, I really think that we've developed a culture at Cardas.Audio that is passionate about not only each other, but about our customers as well, and about the product and the importance that our products play in people's lives. And I think that we've laid a good groundwork. We've developed an amazing culture that I think our customers will benefit for years to come.
That's all from us at Cardas in Oregon. What a fun few days it's been seeing just how audio cables are made right here in America.
And we made something special for you, Josh.
Oh, really? Not popcorn?
No, a very good hot dog. You gotta close your eyes and open your mouth. No?
That doesn't sound like something that's gonna happen.
We made this just for you.
Oh, jeez. Oh my God, it's like tomato soup.
Take a bite. There's something
No,
wrong.
this is an abomination.